everyone, and welcome to another insightful episode of MedSynapse podcast series. Today, we're diving into a topic that resonates with both healthcare professionals and families alike, which is parenting challenges and adolescent counseling. These are the strategies for doctors and healthcare professionals, especially. And today, I'm thrilled to have with us Dr. Neha Jobanputra, who is MD pediatrician with over 11 years of experience and a deep passion for providing child-centered, family-focused care. She's the director of Venus Children's Hospital at Micol in Ahmedabad, known for its warm, child-friendly environment and compassionate staff. Her special interest lies in parenting and adolescent counseling, so she's the best guest to talk on this topic today. So, welcome, Doctor. Thank you. So, to set the stage for today's discussion, could you share your perspective on the key challenges adolescents face today, particularly in terms of their mental and physical well being?
As compared to what adolescents were facing maybe around two decades ago, this time the adolescent challenges have changed a bit more because of the peer pressure and more because of the social media which they have been exposed to since childhood. So the amount of challenges which we face as a parent also increase proportionately in comparison to what the parents 2 decades ago faced.
Yes, I think that is such important aspect that you have actually mentioned, and these days it's so much different. So then it was like previously, if I can say a decade ago, and so yes. Now, doctor, from your extensive experience, what are the most common parenting challenges that you encounter during your counseling sessions, and are there like any patterns of or recurring concerns that you have observed?
What happens is today as a parent of a 10-year-old today, I come across my child's friends, at the same time children of my colleagues. I see a lot of influence in their life of social media, of what they see on the telephone, on the YouTube, on other sources of social media, especially you will say Instagram, looking at reels and shorts. They see other influencers, which sometimes, I won't say always, but then sometimes there are influencers who really have no idea what they're talking about. But that influences these young minds a lot, and it's very difficult to remove that influence from their mind. At the same time, bring in a change of thinking after what they've already been fed into by these so-called influencers. So there are good things about everything, has a good and bad. So there are good things of what social media brings to us. It brings us connectivity. It brings us news from rest of the world, ideas from rest of the world, which 10 years ago we wouldn't even have dreamt about. But at the same time, when you think about our kids are young impressionable minds, especially 10 years and above. So it is very important for us to know what really reaches them, and we really need to create an exact proper filter as to we filter out what is unnecessary and what is really not required at this age for them to know or even understand and even be exposed to. So as a parent, I have seen many of my colleagues and friends uh, suffer with teenage tantrums right from the age of 7 and 8.
Yes, I think
And I've also seen many of my colleagues suffer from anxiety and stress regarding education of the children, because in today's influencer world, they have seen how influencers who even market themselves as not being too educated but earning in 6 and 7 figures. So the importance of education really goes down. As the kids think, even if he can do it without education, so can I. But
yes.
it's very difficult to convince them that this is just the tip of the iceberg, which is really making that money, making that fame. What about the others? The others are not even are not countable. So not everybody can dream of being a Sachin Tendulkar. Not everybody can dream of being a huge influencer. I'm not taking names. But the passion for cricket, just because I want to become Sachin Tendulkar, doesn't mean you leave your education. Especially if you're not a child prodigy, if you're not such a great player. Similarly, if you're a very great influencer and you have such great public presence, or you have such great public relation skills, yes, influencing is not a bad opportunity. But then for that, leaving your education, I don't think is a good thing. But for us to understand that, we require ourselves to be little disconnected from social media. In
Hmm.
today's world, half the parents are running behind the social media. So obviously, if we are inculcating the same values, our kids are definitely going to follow that.
Definitely. And I also think that that is that age that actually creates the influences in your kid's head or the adolescent phase that actually creates such an impact on their minds as well. So this is the period where parents should be very careful as well, as you rightly mentioned that.
Definitely, that's what I'm seeing. What happens is, um, the generation which I am at, in the generation who's in their 30s and 40s, are also influenced by social media, right? So there are so many, I wouldn't say colleagues, but there are many females of our age group, males of our age group, who themselves want to enter the influencing world. So
Yeah.
if the mother or the father is roaming around with a phone every day, recording each and every intricate part of their life, then the child doesn't think there's anything wrong in it.
Yes, of course.
But at 40, you could make that choice after you have reached a particular stage. You're done with your education, you're reaching where you wanted to as a career choice. But does your 10-year-old know that? Does your 10-year-old is your 10-year-old going to put equal influence in studying and making career choices when all he sees is social media?
Yes. I think the parents' role plays a major role
Correct.
on how the
Definitely.
child
I
is.
always say, I always
Yes.
say counseling is not what I'm going to do for the kids. I want the
Correct.
parents to welcome the change because come on, the patient or the kid comes to me maybe an hour a week.
Hmm.
I do not have super magical powers in which I can change his life in 1 hour a day in 1 week
Correct.
when he's spending 99% of the time with you. The parents are the role models. They're the first role models. Okay, so parents, grandparents, uncles, aunts, cousins, they form a very huge and tight circle. So if you tell me that as a counselor or as a pediatrician, 1 hour a week and I am going to really transform his life, no. I am going to help you change what he is perceiving, but at the same time, you have to be ready to give me the time as well and the efforts as well.
Yes, I agree. I totally agree with you.
It's very simple. If you're cooking junk food in your kitchen 3 times a day and you teach the child about healthy habits and healthy food in the books, I don't think
Yeah.
that any kid is going to take the effort to really eat healthy food. The kid is not going to order healthy food from outside if you're cooking
Exactly.
junk, which is obviously a favorite. So it has to be a part and parcel of your life. If I tell the kid that you're not supposed to watch television or what, not supposed to use YouTube more than hour a day, and then there are elder siblings who are glued to the screen maybe 12 to 18 hours. There are elders in the house who are doing that. Parents are also glued to the screen every time they're free. Then that 1 hour per day for the 10-year-old is just injustice. Today he is listening to you at 10.
Mm.
At 12 and 13, he'll learn to lie to you and use the screen as much as he wants. It's very difficult to control that later. So you have to set an example. I'm not saying we need to change the entire generation, but you have to put a stop as to how much we have to get influenced by this so-called wave of social media.
Yeah, I agree. I think there should be a stop, and then that's how the that's
See,
how even the kids will learn.
today everything is available. If you check it on Instagram, Facebook Reels, they teach you each and everything. Okay, but they are doing that. It is the way. It is the career option for those influencers. You
Mm.
cannot leave your job just to give them views. They are earning. What about you?
Yes.
Right. So our dependence on social media is also limited to scrolling the reels all the time.
Yes.
But the scrolling of reels also has to stop someday, or it has to decrease to a minimal required amount every day.
Correct.
Watching 2000 cooking videos when some of it is not even relevant to our culture, not even relevant to our taste palette, just because it looks interesting. And finally, cooking the same thing daily. It's really a sad impact of social media on our lives.
Yes, I agree. So now, doctor, next question for you. What strategies would you recommend for healthcare professionals, particularly to create a safe and trusting environment for adolescent patients?
For adolescent patients, basically, I believe in giving adolescent a chance to speak. Okay, there are three or four major requirements of the adolescent at this age: a patient listening ear, okay, a safe and private place where they can really talk about their concerns without being judged, without having the fear of being exposed to even their parents. And sometimes some amount of, you can say, let go of some vices which they may have picked up on the way. Because, see, you talk about alcohol, you talk about smoking, you talk about vaping, and XYZ. If the child comes and tells me that, I smoked once, and if I'm going to question him and going to give him a lecture of lung cancer, that's the last day I'm seeing him, right? It took a lot of efforts and self control for that kid to come and open up to me. So I have to first be mindful of the fact that I really don't make a hue and cry about that one smoke he had, and don't judge him and don't report him to his parents in a wrong way. I think it's important for them to know, definitely. I'm not saying I hide these things from the parents, but at the same time, I need to be confident that they don't break the trust the child and me have developed, because that's just a stepping stone. The privacy, because there are few things which, how much ever the parents try to be friendly with the kids, there are some issues where they might not be able to open up to the parents. So I think if I get that chance and I've started, the child has started opening up to me, then we need to take a little step backward and let the child open up completely. Yes, counseling, yes, guiding as to what you're doing, is it right or wrong. If it is wrong, then what do you do to modify it, rather than him guilting him into, it's the end of the world and how could you even think about smoking. Similarly, there are addictions, there is exposure to porn, which is not uncommon nowadays. So there is already too much guilt in the child's head when he knows that what he's doing is wrong. But there is peer influence. There are friends who are discussing it, and the child doesn't want. This I'm telling you from a few cases which I've seen. There are few kids who've come across that, I did this, but then all friends were talking about it. I didn't know what they were talking about. So how do I? I look like a fool. So I had to do it. I had to find out what exactly were they talking about. And so if I really go and tell the father or the mother that, you need to ban all his phone activities, he's going the wrong way. So I think that's it. The kid might look for another way to use social media and find another screen where he can browse porn. But I what I usually do is, okay. So do you think it's something good? No, you don't think. So if your friends are uh, getting into a wrong habit, do you really want to be friends with them? Okay, and if you think, and it's not easy to really break out from a circle which you've always been, but yeah, you can create a filter. There was a girl I had counseled. She was, I think, a 13-year-old, and the group of friends she had, it was a co-educational school, so the girls and guys, few of the girls and guys had resorted to verbal abuse. They used to use bad words. The girl knew these were bad words. The girl knew I didn't want to use them, but she didn't want to separate herself from the friends. So she said, what happens is I hear them and I know gradually they are going to come on my tongue as well. That was the fear she came to me with. She said, Auntie, I know what it's wrong and I don't want to use it. But I am scared someday out of frustration, if my language changes, because I'm seeing and listening to all these words all day, and it's just a normal part of the conversation. So I don't want that to happen, because I live in a community where it will be a big disgrace if I even start using these words. So I told her, you just see, if the friends find you important as well, like you find them important, the friends should respect your choices as well. You tell your friends, the time we are together, please refrain from using these words. If they think you are important for them, they should do it. Similarly, if you think that it's really going out of hand, then you choose your friends. You really have to step back. You tell them once you're finished using this language, we'll continue the conversation. Till then, I'm not going to be part of the conversation at all. Because finally, these 3, 5 years, molding years are going to shape the rest of your future.
Mm. I think that's what building trust is such a key element when you speak
Definitely.
to adults and patients. And I actually love how you emphasized empathy and active listening also amongst these
Because I
group
think
of patients is so important.
because what happens is today, that is one major thing which is lacking.
Hmm.
Even in a joint family, I'm not even coming to a nuclear family, because nuclear family, both the parents are working, or sometimes one parent is working, one parent is at home. By the time the
Hmm.
child comes home at around 5 and 6, the mother is so famished and so tired, she
Hmm.
doesn't have half an hour to come and sit with the child, the daughter or the son. So, how was your school? Any issues? Let's chat about something, anything XYZ. So even in joint families, everybody has their own screens. So all the kids have their own screen, plus the parents and everybody is hooked to their own screens. So where is that listening here? The child goes out to play. Again, there are friends who have their own screens, so they are all playing some common game over the screen, but the listening here is missing. So till the phone so it's not like I'm against the phone, because today nowadays even you and I cannot go get along our lives without a phone. Majority of the applications, everything we are doing, from the milk in the early morning to calling for any stationery or projects for something, some project for the kids, everything comes online. So it's not like we are keeping ourselves away from social media. But yeah, there has to be a limit as to, you need to shut the scrolling. I am
Hmm.
really against the at least anybody under 10 scrolling over the reels and shorts, because I have seen very bad effects. I've seen patients with such a short temper, such bad language, so much irritability. Because the scrolling gives you dopamine rush. The minute
Hmm.
it stops, the kid becomes so irritable. It's just like he goes into a withdrawal. It's, give me something, give me some screen to browse. So it becomes very difficult to later on change it. My usual words to all the parents who ask me this, I tell them that 20 days now or 20 years later, you have to decide what you want to sacrifice. You sacrifice those 20 days right now for your kid, you leave, you stop all screens around them. You yourself stop using screens in front of the child. Answer the phone call whenever there is a phone. That's it.
Yes, I think that is really important that you mentioned, and it actually influences the child's mind a lot to a great extent as well.
Definitely, because the child otherwise is not going to get a chance to vent out his emotions.
Mhm.
And see, as I said, social media is a big dark web. So there is somebody who's looking to trap your child in some wrongdoing or the other. The
Correct.
the dark web of internet is not, it's not like it was just, doesn't exist anymore after the cyber crime and cyber police and everything increasing. It's, we are still not completely safe.
Correct.
So it's very easy to cry over spilt milk. But initially, when you know that the child is looking for friends on the internet, and you never know whether the guy or the girl your child is chatting to is really the 10 and 12-year-old that the person is claiming to be. He might just be a 40-year-old trying to, lure your child into some kidnapping, or going to lure your internet passwords or something else from the child. Important information regarding the parents' careers, the child's school, the child's whereabouts. Some, so there's no
Everything
stop
a
to it.
vast thing, vast thing.
There's no stop to it.
So now, Doctor, next question also would be like, how can healthcare providers effectively balance respecting adolescent privacy while involving parents or guardians in their care?
See, the first thing is, if the parent has come to me with an issue, they need to trust me.
True.
All right. So if I have reached a level of trust with the parents, then only I can approach the child.
Mhm.
There has to be a healthy environment of which I am mentioned as a trustful adult in the house, which is when the child receives that confidence. Okay, I have had some kids calling me on my personal number, on my hospital number, asking to see me without the parents' knowledge.
Hmm.
Okay, so that is a very heartwarming experience. And, it's very, emotional. I would tell you, there was a child who didn't have money. Because come on, I mean, 250, 500 bucks, not every kid would be able to, pay from his own pocket. So she called me. She said, Auntie, is it okay if I pay you in 3 or 4 parts, but I really want to see you? I will be saving money, but I really want to see you. She was being harassed by some kid in school. It was, and she didn't know what to do. She tried talking to her mother, but the kid's mom and her mom were very good friends. So the mother really ignored, saying that, it's nothing like that. But she really was going through a bad phase. And so it was very difficult for me also to listen to her and not involve her parents in it. But after speaking to her, I then after listening to the entire conversation, I took a decision of calling the parents the next day. So when the child was in school, I spoke to the mother in the morning and I asked them to come and see me in the evening, both the parents. And I wanted to know how much they knew about it. So it seems they just knew just the 5-10% of what was really happening with the girl in terms of bullying, in terms of emotional blackmail, in terms of you can say I would say body shaming out to some extent. And the girl pretty innocently was trying to put it in her stride. They're just friends. We are friends. We've been childhood friends. It's all right. But it was shaking her self confidence a lot. So I had to tell the parents that, I don't know how you will do it, but you have to either choose between your set of friends or your daughter, especially if your daughter is voicing out her concern. And it's not a 4-year-old who's crying. It's a nearly 12, 13-year-old who's been telling you that this has been going on for some time, and, you need to either tell your friends who are the parents of the child that, your girl has been doing this. So, let's all act like adults and see to it that none of the kids are harmed. You cannot
Yes.
just push it under the carpet. There was I think, 9-year-old who was stealing cigarettes from his father. The father was a smoker. So he used to smuggle maybe a couple of cigarettes a day. And he had a stack full of cigarettes with him when he came to me. He said, I tried smoking one, but I don't think I can do it. But I see my dad doing it, and I want to be like my dad. He used to copy the dad in everything. So, but I don't know what to do with cigarette. Can you teach me? It was the question. Can you teach me? And come on, frankly, I don't smoke. I encourage smoking. But he's like, I want to look cool as my dad. And my dad smokes and he looks very nice and he's so comfortable. I don't know what to do. And it was so, I mean, unethical for me to, teach him smoking. But I really, what then I did was, I tried to tell him about how him not smoking was not making his dad love him any less. And he was as good as a man like his dad without the smoking part. Then I had to put in a word to the parents saying that how the dad is trying to quit smoking and it's not something he wants his son to pick up. And I think it's been 2 years, the father is off smoking. I still shamelessly ask the father still whenever they come across, have you started smoking? He said, no, madam, I remember what you told me and what my son was about to do. So, no, I'm not smoking anymore. So I think that's a good thing, my good deed of the day.
Yeah, I think the psychological impact a small thing also creates on a child's mind is really something which every parent should look out for, I think.
What I usually believe is parenting really starts the day you are handed a newborn in your hand. Okay, so it's not like, suddenly the child is 10 and now today I am going to start being a good parent.
Right.
Ever since you have become responsible for another child, another person's life, is when you become a parent. Okay, there are siblings who've had a 10 and 12 and 15-year age gap. So the 15-year-old elder sibling is already a parent for the younger one. He likes it or not. So everybody amongst us is whoever is giving the child something to look up to or doing something which the child is looking to inculcate in his life is going to be a parent.
Correct.
It doesn't only have to be mummy, papa. It has to, even the grandparents are parents. Even the uncle, aunt in the house are parents. Okay, you call it parent, you call it guardian. Sometimes the child, the influence of a young aunt in the house is more on that teenage daughter rather than her 40-year-old mother. Okay, so if you see that 25-year-old scrolling the phone all the time, so the 12-year-old, if she looks at doing it the same, it's no surprise.
Mhm.
So we really have to check our uh, thinking, our ideologies, and what we target in our mind to reach as a parent.
Mhm.
I don't mean to say that the day you get a child in your hand, you go into the sadhu avastha and you just start talking about pious things and talking about mantras and no, that's not necessary. But then whatever you're doing, remember your child is looking at you each time. Whether it's banging a fist on the wall in anger or throwing a bunch of stuff out of anger, the child is looking. The child is getting angry, is getting scared, but he thinks that this is how I'm supposed to handle my emotions.
Mhm.
So when you say I'm going to spank you for throwing the phone or throwing the toys, but where did he learn this? That out of anger, throwing is okay or hitting is okay. If there is somebody who is showing some amount of domestic or physical violence in the house or having anger temper issues, anger issues, tantrums in the house, the child is going to look. He may not pick up 100%, but why do you even want the child to pick up 20%, which gradually, madam, help my child, he gets very angry, he's using foul words. No, nobody came home to teach him foul words. The first time he used foul words, one of the parent must have been around. Not the first time, at least the 10th time. Why did you not stop him there? Why reach a stage where the child cannot complete a sentence without a foul word? So it's my request to all new parents and even to be parents that don't wait till the child reaches teenage and then suddenly go into a panic state. Arey, my son is watching things which he's not supposed to. Or my daughter is, talking about makeup all the time or talking about taking selfies all the time. When you saw the 3-year-old putting lipstick and, standing in front of the mirror and taking photographs, you found it cute. But then when she was doing it 100 times, you had to stop her. And this is not the age for you to apply makeup. This is not the age for you to leave your education and pose in front of the camera. You are not supposed to spend thousands on our clothes just because you can afford it. Because today it's thousands, tomorrow if it reaches 10,000, it's not wrong. If you can spend 5,000 on a child's kid's outfit at the age of 5, then why is she wrong when she's asking you for a lakh rupee lehenga for a wedding or a sangeet? Because you've never told her the importance of money. Financial education today is as important as any other education. Spending 600 bucks and 1,000 bucks on a coffee is not, it's not richness. I'm sorry. You can afford it, I agree. But it is not a necessary expense the child needs to do. Buying branded clothes, buying branded watches, buying branded spectacles is a need to buy spectacles. But the mark, the brand logo is not something which is essential. But the kid has picked it up because he has been hearing the brands off and on at home. When the mother is flaunting a Veromoda dress or the father is, flaunting Nike shoes, so why is the kid wrong in asking for something like that? So with great power, when you say comes great responsibility. With a good financial stability comes also a great responsibility as to you should know how to spend it and you have to teach the kids as similar as to how to spend it because we all know earning is very difficult. Spending is not difficult at all. But does your kid know that? Does your kid know that buying a 500 rupee toy every week is not essential?
Yes. I think that is something that is really rightly mentioned by you. My next question would be, what are the key warning signs we should look out for in adolescents who might be struggling with emotional or psychological challenges?
Yes, that's a very good question. Amongst what we see amongst adolescents, see, there are major anxiety issues
Mm.
for which the child has very, very frequent, I won't say child, or the teenager has very frequent crying spells. anything, some small thing which goes against his or her will, and the child gets very sad suddenly, they gets very teary eyed, even if it is some program for which he was not selected in, or some medal which he did not receive, or maybe some toy or some gadget which the friend has and he was refused for. They get suddenly teary eyed. Okay, so mental breakdown, that very small thing, small as to for you and me to say that it's very minor issue, but for the child it's a very major issue. The girl who was refused a green eyeliner or green mascara thinks it's the end of the world because her friend is using one, and my mummy said no. The mummy is right. You don't need a green or blue eyeliner or mascara. But the child takes it too hard. My mummy doesn't love me anymore. So the small signs, as you back answering, lying at small things, or these what you can say, there are many physical attributes as to the child suddenly starts eating less or suddenly starts binge eating. These are also some signs of which there is some turmoil going on in the child's brain, for which he is unable to be vocalized. But yeah, and not sleeping well, very common. We think no, the child is not sleeping well because he's stressed about the studies, but no, there is already the social media has put a increased that gap of sleeping. The child who used to sleep at 9 and 10 now sleeps at 10 and 11 and 12. So the late nights have increased. Early mornings, of course, depending on how early the schools and colleges are. Otherwise, waking up late in the morning just because I was awake late at night. Now it's very difficult for the parents. I don't expect them to, stay awake with the child till 2, checking whether the child is always studying or not. So the child in the morning says, I was awake till 2, I was awake till 3 studying. And so, excuse me, but I need to sleep till 10 in the morning. But till 2 and 3, I really don't know if all the kids really are studying or they are really browsing something on the phone or the internet. If possible, and if it's doable at home, I think if you still continue with the same habit of sleeping at 10 and getting up at 6 in the morning, we can be ensured that after 6 in the morning, at least the child is going to be studying because there's somebody or the other to look around for him.
Right.
After 11 and 12, I don't expect the parents, keep continuously sit awake, keeping a watch on the kid. Especially if the father is sitting and scrolling the phone, sitting next to the child, and you were expecting the son to sit and study. It's again, a distraction
Right.
for the child. My father is watching something on the phone and making me study. So he's again going to be studying with a not so interested mindset. Other physical attributes, I think physical attributes, as I told you, not eating well, not sleeping well, crying at the drop of a hat, and sometimes picking up fights without reason, arguing. This is a
Yes.
basic change in the you can say the child's body language, and also the change in the behavior of the child. If you think a child has been a very well behaved child up till now and suddenly starts getting angry at no reason, so then there's
There's
something
something
wrong.
wrong. Yeah. Correct. I think there's such a crucial checklist that all of us should keep in mind while looking out for adolescents, I think.
Definitely, definitely.
Now, in cases when adolescents are dealing with more severe challenges such as, self-harm or suicidal ideation, so what immediate and long-term interventions would you recommend for parents and healthcare professionals?
As a healthcare professional myself, I told you there is a very thin line between keeping the privacy of the child and informing the parents or the authorities when you think that the child is going on a step which might be harmful to his life. So we really need to be very mindful. If you think that the child is showing any tendencies of self harm, or even in the ways of talking, will you feel that the child feels as if it's the end of the world and I don't need to survive anymore? If you think there's any inkling of that sort, we need to keep the parents in check. We need to keep the parents in the loop and tell them that this is what is happening. I would advise you to keep a close lookout on the child without just shutting doors on him and enclosing him inside the house. But at the same time, you need to talk to his friends. You need to understand why all this is going on. Professional help definitely is required, especially in these cases. Psychiatric counsel takes a very big role and it's very essential. Sometimes anti-anxiety medicines also need to be administered. That also under the strict guidance of a psychiatric medical professional. And for parents, I would say if you think that there is somebody at your house, maybe it is anybody, any family member who has this tendency of either doing self harm or threatening about self harm, that also needs to be addressed because
Mm,
this the kid is looking at this.
mm,
Sometimes self-harm is sometimes is not sometimes most of the times is usually used as a threat. Okay, so if that threat is being used by anybody at home, parents, grandparents, any uncle, aunt, anybody, to get things done, the child thinks this is the way to get things done. So it actually might not even lead to self-harm, but you never know. But you need to stop that habit once and for all. That this is not the way to get things done. As I said, it's very difficult for us as a healthcare professional to deal with those tantrums at the age of adolescence. The bribery, the give and take nature, or the threats have started as early as the age of 3 and 4. So he's a 10 is this is a child with 10 years of experience of bribery, 10 years of experience of threatening, and he knows how to get things done. He or she knows the weak points of everybody in the house as to what and when what I should say or do is going to make all of them dance to my tunes. And the parents are so helpless, I tell you. It's, they really don't know what to do. There are
mm,
parents who say that, it's a 15-year-old who's asking for a bike. And I say, of course not. So they say, yeah, we know, of course not. But then he's threatening us with doing something to himself, self harm. And, we are scared. Why? Because an 18-year-old in the family already did something like that. And the child has seen that. So the child knows that, I know how to get things.
okay.
So society as in whole reached a place where you and me just cannot, as a 10-year-old, if I tell my son that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, these things are bad. You're not supposed to do them. Today he'll listen to me. 2 years down the line, listen to me. At the age of 15, if he gets interested in something which I have refused, he will find a way to keep me happy by saying, no, I'm not doing it, but at least and still do it. He learns a midway. How much are you going to keep your kids into check or keep an eye on, because you cannot be a helicopter parent. You cannot run around with the kid everywhere he goes, because you're not going to help them grow. You are not going to let them get independent. If they don't make their decisions, if you don't let them cross the road till the age of 20, 25, you're going to be accompanying them all the way everywhere they go. Or then send them with a driver. Today's stage, that happens. If the parent can't go, the driver tags along.
Mm,
Then someday the kid is going to learn. As a 40-year-old, when he wants to cross the road with the kid, he cannot call the driver. He has to know.
right. I think these kind of situations are have so much sensitivity also with them, so it should be handled with a lot of care also, I think.
Definitely, definitely.
So now lastly, doctor, what role do schools and community organizations play in supporting healthcare professional or parents in adolescent counseling?
Schools basically, there are many schools who, on a monthly or a quarterly basis, have counselors come to the school to talk to the kids on a public forum about the most common topics which the kid must be at that age must be facing. Then they have school counselors in house who are open, who the kids can approach as and when required. But I tell you, it's not very easy for the schools or the kid to really do it in privacy, because a group of five girls or guys, and suddenly one of them says, "I want to go to the counselor." The four are going to be teasing him about it. There's no doubt, or try to guess as to, "Arey, what's wrong in your life? ऐसा हुआ," and the child thinks, "No, no, it's not worth it." That being ridiculed or bullied just because I have a problem, because I think it's very difficult for that child to really get a time where he can approach the counselor without anybody coming to know. Then again, after the counseling is done, how the counselor, if they handle it well and the news doesn't reach the teacher doesn't, talk to the kid in front of the entire class, addressing his problems, then it's all right. Otherwise, the kid loses his confidence as to, it's no use going to the counselor because I'm being ridiculed in front of the entire class. There are many kids who have issues with bedwetting. They have issues with a new sibling coming into the house. They have issues about some family issue or financial issue in the house because of which they have changed residences. The father is at home because of no work, so financial troubles have started. So there are so many things, and it's not possible for another 10 or 12 year old being empathetic about it. So he obviously doesn't get a listening ear or doesn't get sound advice from his co-friends or his colleagues
Mhm.
in school. So the counselor has to be open, and you have to give an environment where the kid can, without any fear, enter a counselor, talk, and get his job done and come out without being judged as to what exactly happened behind closed doors. Similarly, as a healthcare professional, even when I say that, they call, I want to come and meet you in private, it's not always easy because the mother knows that the child goes for tuition from 5 to 7. So if
Mhm.
she's a vigilant mother, she's going to know that, why isn't she or he home after 7? Even if the excuses cannot be piled up every week or every month. So after a couple of counseling sessions, I need to take the parents into this thing, and whatever is happening is all good. If the child is lying to you to come to me, it's for the greater good. Just ignore it for a couple of more times, and we'll rope you in as to, so that we can have combined counseling sessions. Pocket money is a very difficult topic to address. I've figured out when it comes to parents and kids,
Mhm.
which I've tried to address in this forum actually, because what you and I have an importance of rupees 100. I don't think the today's 10-year-old has. For them is what we think as $10 today. For
Mhm.
them, it's that 100 rupee note. So spending 100 bucks on a chocolate is like, so
You don't know the value, importance, like the
not a
value.
value. So when the child is receiving 100 bucks as a pocket money, the child is really not satisfied. And the mother or the father thinks, I am giving you 100 bucks weekly is more than enough. It comes to almost 400, 500 a month. And that's 10 times more than I used to even dream about when I was a child. But those 500 are really not going down the drain with some abrupt, unnecessary expense, maybe some chocolate here or one coffee there or some donut somewhere. Okay, so some unnecessary colorful stationery which really the kid is not even going to use. But just because the girl sitting next to me has those stickers or the flowery letter pads, I want the same, so I'm going to spend those 500 bucks. So, getting a midway between that topic amongst the parents and the kid is also a very difficult issue,
Right.
which I face many a times. As in, the child writes down 2 rupees, 3 rupees. This is what I've used. This is what I've used. That used to happen. I think when I started, maybe around in 2014, 15, where those 2 rupee and 3 rupee items were available. Today, you don't see anything below 10 and 20.
True.
Child is spending maybe 20 bucks on a pen, 50 bucks on something else, and so that 100 bucks a week goes, it just vanishes. And the parent is livid. He spent 100 bucks a week on just something like this, and this is his pocket money. I said, but you are the one who has shown him
Allah.
the not allowed. You have shown him the objects which really cost 20, 220 and 50, which you had been buying for him when there was no concept of pocket money. You had been openly buying for him, so now today he wants them. It's his want. It's and amongst needs and want, it has become his need. I want to eat that 20 buck chocolate every day or 50 buck silk every day because mommy had been buying it anyways. So then, how does that pocket money really count?
Right. It
Right.
actually
So
makes a lot of difference,
that's
I
a very
think.
difficult topic which we handle on a case to case basis, but really drains me out.
Yeah, and I think this is something really very common, and everybody doesn't think it is important to even discuss. They think it is really normal, which is sometimes is not.
Probably because financial education has not been a part of curriculum for you and me as well. So we
True.
learned on the job. We learned
Hmm.
calculations, we learned accounts, we learned how debit credit was done, everything once we started earning. So till then, we are not really cautious about how things were functioning around us. But today, I think it's the need of the hour.
Hmm.
Just like we say, sex counseling is essential. Telling the kids about the birds and bees is important. Equally important is what financial counseling is today.
Right. I agree. I totally agree. So now, Doctor, as we wrap up today's session, let me tell you it's been such an enlightening conversation with you. And thank you for sharing your expertise and practical strategies on counseling adults and guiding parents. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Nice to talk to you.
Same here. And this is a topic that actually impacts so many lives, and your insights have been incredibly valuable for your audience as well. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
And to our listeners, thank you for joining us today. And we hope this discussion equips you with tools to better support adolescents in your care. And remember, if you're a healthcare professional who is eager to delve deeper into medical topics or have questions, do not hesitate to join us on the MedSynapse platform. MedSynapse platform is not just a resource, it's a dynamic space where you can connect with your medical peers, participate in meaningful discussions, and contribute to the ongoing evolution of healthcare. So until next time, take care and keep making a difference.